Back at Showmeyer Arena, we come here for Frogs Today, our Hall of Fame special this week, but there's news of the week that we need to get to as well. We brought in Jeff Wilson and David Beaudin earlier, our round table of experts, to talk about our news headlines that we're faced with. We started the conversation with the MLB draft, where the Frogs were represented quite well. Here's Jeff Wilson with some insight.
Nobody got selected on day one where all the big money is, but day two, Raleigh Cornelio and Beaudin got drafted by the Nationals and the Red Sox, and then just in day three early on, Marcelo Perez to the Mariners and Austin Krob to the Padres. So, I think the expectation is that they may all go. I think that's why they've been pretty. Kurt Saarloos has been pretty active in getting pitchers in the transfer portal. So, you got to prepare for these kind of things. But just because they're drafted does not mean that they have to go. Now, the guys who are out of eligibility obviously are going to go. They don't have much leverage. They'll sign for cheap. Cornelio is the one who could probably get a pretty good deal. And Krob also has a year of eligibility remaining.
Yeah, and by the way, testament to the program, too, to have that many going.
Sure,
right?
For sure. It's... this was thought to be maybe a little bit of a down year at TCU, at least as far as MLB talent. But look, you get these guys in a system, and you never know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I'm going to hit you back on the Rangers in a second. First,
right.
So David Beaudin, let's talk quarterback situation at TCU. A lot was made of Sonny Dykes' comments at Big 12 Media Day. I'm trying not to read too much into that just yet. What do you get?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I might have been the only one there that thought it was pretty authentic, right? I know I read Melissa's piece, and she sort of read between the lines on where the quarterback situations go, maybe, leaning towards Morris a little bit. I think he was spot on. And it's something that it's hard to articulate because he said, look, you can't put your finger on it, but something just happens during camp, right? Guy may have a great spring, someone else may have a really good summer, and then something just kind of takes over, during camp. And I think he's right. Just kind of whether it's a leadership thing, a lot of times these decisions aren't made on. I mean, they all have arm talent and all those things, right? It's who can run the show, who can I hand the keys to lead this thing and make sure that we're as efficient as possible. So I found that really interesting and really genuine. I think the other thing is he had mentioned. Just kind of that he'd be the last one to know, right?
Yeah.
And that's also he's spot on because as a head coach, he's worried about, hey, is this going to offend this coach, or I'm recruiting this guy's cousin, so I have to make sure. And meanwhile, everyone else is watching and saying, hey, coach, he's doing the best job, right? This will make it easy on you. So I thought he was pretty revealing, and it was telling that he truly doesn't know at this point.
The thing you talk about is the it factor. When that it factor arises, right. Jeff, that ought to be your next book. If you can ever define what the it factor is, it's one of those things where I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. Right. But that's what it takes to be a quarterback, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and a lot of coaches, a lot of successful, really great coaches, have been duped, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because they see a guy in shorts in the off season, and it's got the tightest spiral, and he throws the prettiest ball. Well, I mean, obviously we all know it's a lot different when you got, defensive end, trying to take your head off. Now, the thing is it's hard to replicate that in practice, obviously, at quarterback. And so you just don't know until you've got some live bullets flying. And that's the hard part about, making a quarterback selection. But that's why he's in the job he is and making the money he is.
I remember when you used to brag on Dieter Brock and how he could throw it. But, I mean,
That's right.
He had to fight the way to the CFL, Come on. He could throw it, but that was about it. All right, realignment real quick. I want to hit both of you guys on this. Dennis Dodd wrote a piece this week talking about the potential of the Notre Dame and NBC Sports and bringing the Big 12 as shoulder programming with that deal. Notre Dame looking for $75 million. There's been another rumor that came out that the Pac-12 and the Big 12, that those negotiations have broken down. Jeff, let's start with you. What do you think?
Well, it's eerily quiet. I think the anticipation was when USC and UCLA went to the Big Ten that things would happen like that week.
Yeah.
And that just hasn't been the case. Now, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, as was the case with the Big Ten and the two Pac-12 schools. The one thing that Brett Yormark said, well, we're open for business.
Right.
But he said, we're going to do whatever is best for the conference, and we want options. And, it wouldn't be bad to hitch your horse to Notre Dame. And, NBC while a lot of people don't think of it as a college football destination, hey, if you're the only show going, then maybe they would. But, I just think there are a lot of opportunities for TCU. I really do.
Why do I struggle with the phrase shoulder programming? I know what they're saying, that they need additional hours, but to me that almost sounds like your second thought there.
Yeah.
With Notre Dame.
Sure, yeah, well, I think that they're also, the way they're thinking may be a little antiquated as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with the rise of the SEC and the Big Ten, the way this is going,
Right.
I think they have to be, all this posturing, they have to be careful, right?
Yeah.
This isn't, we're not talking about, Notre Dame of old here. Quality program, obviously, been into the national playoffs, all of that stuff.
Right.
But I don't know if they have the same clout as maybe they feel. Now, obviously they do, because they asked for $75 million,
Right.
So I think that's it. And I think in terms of the Pac-12 and the Big 12, it's sort of a game of chicken right now. You know, and I thought, same to you. I thought everything was going to happen fast, and they're just kind of bracing themselves, saying, "Hey, who's going to blink first?"
$20 billion endowment at Notre Dame. You'd think they could paint the end zones. I mean, come on. All right, real quick. Rangers today, this week. I'm sure it's draft heavy. What are you going to be talking about?
Lots of draft. The Rangers just really pulled a couple fast ones that really shook up the draft, and
Could be great.
Could be. I mean, if Kumar Rocker
Yeah.
and Jack Leiter, they obviously pitched together and were great at Vanderbilt. And if Rocker is healthy, and then the fourth round pick, a kid named Brock Porter, who Michigan prep threw 3 no-hitters this year.
Yeah.
Gatorade National Player of the Year, and he fell out of the top 10 and all the way to the fourth round.
Yeah.
The Rangers
How
snagged
does
him.
that happen?
He is committed to Clemson,
Right.
And I think he probably, his agent is Scott Boras, and so our advisor,
Right.
and so he probably put out, hey, if you want to sign him, you got to give him first round money.
Yeah.
And the Rangers, because of the way they structured the Rocker deal, are able to do that.
All right, David Beaudin, dissecting the Frogs this week. I know you got a couple of things on social media where you're looking at the new guys coming into the TCU, right?
Yes, I just want to give the fans an opportunity to get familiar with the newcomers,
Right.
Both transfers and freshmen. So Jordan Hudson's the first one, a kid right down the road in Garland, and excited to do that. So it's coming soon.
All right. Thank you, man. Thanks for stopping by. It's been our Hall of Fame edition here of Frogs Today, episode 1. Back again next week with another edition with 4 more candidates headed off to the Letterman's Hall of Fame at TCU. Don't forget, if you'd love to advertise with us, we'd love to have you. All you got to do is follow that email on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you subscribe at frogstoday.com and on our YouTube site as well. Become part of the family here at Frogs Today. Until next week with another edition of our Letterman's Hall of Fame special, I'm Brian Estridge. Have yourself a great one.